Some of us, as you know, occasionally find ourselves in this extraordinarily fortunate position that we can stand on another form of stage and utter the immortal words, "Good night, Wembley." And here I am standing on the banks of a river talking about other people's poo. Clearly something went wrong somewhere and I haven't quite figured out what the hell happened or how that came about. What I do know is, since I was 10, I've been standing about in rivers. I've always had this massive passion for fly fishing, and it was a few years back while standing in a river and suddenly realised that the ugly underbelly of the sewage system was drifting by me in a little flotilla. And being the clever man I am, I suddenly thought, that shouldn't be there. And very rapidly I realised that I was going to end up confronting the Environment Agency in Thames Water. Now, the club that I fishing club I'm a member of, there's only 60 members. They know what I'm like, and they went, "Oh, you'll have to be then chairman, Feargal. We'll make you chairman and you go pick this fight." As it turns out, I can assure you, standing outside the steps of the High Court is no better way than focusing the attention of the Environment Agency. I got our stuff fixed really quickly. But that made me curious. Curious as to why 60 ladies and gentlemen of a certain age had to take the bloody Environment Agency to the High Court just to get them to do their damn job. That gave me an itch. Stupidly, foolishly, naively, I scratched that itch. And here we are. Because that itch has now helped exposed. Last year, water companies spent 4.6 million hours dumping sewage into England's rivers and onto England's beaches. It has now got so bad that this river and every other river in East Anglia is polluted. Don't take it personally, because so is every other river in Cornwall, so is every other river in the East Midlands, every other river in the West Midlands, every other river in South Yorkshire, North Yorkshire. In fact, there is not a single river anywhere in England that is not polluted. And one of the largest sources of that pollution is the water industry. And they have been allowed to wantonly destroy the beauty of this country and the rivers that we depend on and the seas that surround us. And they have been wantonly allowed to destroy the environment simply to drive greed, financial engineering, and reprofiling of those companies. I'll give you an example. You all pay your bills to Anglian Water. Anglian Water so far has paid their shareholders £12.7 billion worth of their cash and saddled those companies with £7 billion worth of debt. To such an extent, 25% of your bill, a quarter of your bill, doesn't go on providing water, doesn't go on fixing the sewage system. It goes to pay interest on the bloody debt that they created, £7 billion that they made off with. They also leak about 180 million litres a day. That's enough to keep a huge chunk of Norwich supplied with all the water they ever need. It leaks from their badly maintained, massively underinvested pipes. This area is home to some of the rarest rivers on the planet, chalk streams. There's only 225 in existence, and there's about 20 in East Anglia. There is not one of them that is in a good ecological condition. They've all been over-abstracted, had too much water taken out of them, and what's left is now basically being filled with sewage. And all of that to drive their profitability. I've got one last bit of bad news. On July the 11th, the regulator Ofwat, hopeless by the way, as I call them, will make an announcement because Anglian Water has actually applied to put your bills up by another 29% over the next 5 years. So not only have you paid them for a service you didn't get, not only have they ram-raided your bank accounts, as my friend puts it, the only non-leaky pipe a water company ever built was the one between Bill Pear's bank accounts and shareholders' pockets. They now have the audacity to demand that you pay another 29% at a time when a lot of families out here are simply struggling to get through the week and into next week, and how they're going to pay the bills in 2 months' time, we've no idea, Feargal. We'll figure it out when we get there. So the truth is, this environment thing, and I know, Gurpreet, you're going to agree with this, simply gave me an insight and a little prism into how the hell the rest of this country's been run for the last 14 years. Yeah. There are 7.6 million people right now on NHS waiting lists. There are people around here can't get anywhere near an NHS dentist. I spoke to one lady the other day. She has to do a 120-mile round trip just to take her children to an NHS dentist. How's that thing about an NHS GP working out around here? And as if that's not bad enough, for me, you get into the real obscenity of it all. And the lies and the incompetence and the corruption. There are right now 3.6 million kids in England living in poverty. 1 million of those children are actually officially now destitute, i.e. they have no certainty at all over where they're going to get their next meal from, or whether they're actually even going to sleep tonight. And while all of that's going on, the Prime Minister of this country was hobnobbing it up with some of the richest countries in the world last week in Italy, and there are 3.6 million kids in this country living in poverty, which might help explain why 2.9 million families had to use food banks last year simply because they couldn't make it through the week. Now, I have to tell you, that's not the kind of world I want to be in any way responsible for.